Yeah, I don't really get it.
Because that's the whole thing. You're working on your truck, and then you're like, getting angry at it, and then it's like Matt working with computers.
Yeah. I mean, I got that part of it. Yeah. I guess I didn't get the part that made it funny. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Under the Influence.
Episode...
Re-intro.
Redo it?
Yeah, re-intro. It was on Levi.
It was on Levi's camera? Now we're leaving it. We're going with it.
Incredible.
This is episode 7, I'm pretty sure.
Episode 7.
Of season 5.
We said last one was 6.
Did we?
So we did.
Did we, though? That was a whole week ago.
We had said that it was 6. I don't know if it actually is.
I'm pretty sure it is. So this is 7. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Under the Influence, Season 5, Episode 6. Just kidding, 7. This time it's just me and Levi again.
Woo!
Levi and I, excuse me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I take priority when you say it.
Yes.
Yep. That's the way it works.
Yep. We're so glad to be back with you. Last week we talked about... What are we talking about? Video games. We talked about Oblivion for too long. And then we talked about changing ourselves.
You know.
What?
Oh, I was just going to say. I had a little thing that I...
Oh. Wait, why are you being weird about it?
The light's just changing color. That was weird. No, dude. So, you remember when we did when I was doing multiply school, and I streamed for a little bit?
Marvel Rivals, I remember. You were very good at it.
I was honestly the worst of ever. And
you were very good at the streaming part, is what I meant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You were terrible at Marvel Rivals.
Marvel Rivals because I was playing Wolverine, who I love Wolverine. Great character.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it. But last week, I played a little bit of Marvel Rivals on my own.
What the heck?
And because I was just wanting to, I was like, oh, shoot, there's an event going on. I don't want to forget about it because there's a cool Mantis skin. So I was just going to, get that out of the way.
Yeah.
And
do you play Mantis?
I play healers. So.
Okay.
But I also want to play Wolverine eventually, and there was a thing that was like, oh.
Not a healer.
No, not a healer. But there's a thing for Wolverine that, you have to gain this much, like, ferocity or whatever during a game and to get this part of whatever, challenge it is, right? So I enter a game, Wolverine, and I'm like, this is going to go badly, but I'm going to try my best. I understand the character more, so I'm going to play it. I went, I think it was 36-3 MVP. Got the whole animation thing. It was pretty great. I took a screenshot of it so that you wouldn't think that I was just lying.
Pull it up, Jamie.
I don't have it. It's at home. I totally 100% forgot about it. Yeah, now you're going to tell me that it's not. But I'm going to post it somewhere.
No, I believe
somehow. We'll get it in there.
Post it in the Marvel Rivals
Tim
channel.
will get it. Oh, or that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tim, you can put it up on screen right now.
Flash it. Don't just have it static. Just
MVP. No.
Every other frame.
I'm glad that was on screen for a second. I saw the monitor that was on Levi's screen, so I was like, oh, this will be funny. And then it cut back to me going.
But, yeah, dude, I just wanted to share, I have grown as a Wolverine player.
That's not growth. That is insane.
And that was
really bad game, and then you just played a game as him, and we're just
started out.
36-3?
It started out not very good.
No offense, but were you playing against bots?
No, I was playing against competitive. To be fair, no, I was just playing regular.
So you couldn't possibly know.
I wouldn't know if it was bots or not, but I do know that the difficulty was just going one way, swinging the other way, swinging the other way, swinging the other way.
No, I'm not assuming you were playing against bots. I have games that I'm like, that had to be a bot game, right?
Yeah.
But
because
then I'm like, I don't know.
They really try and get you at a level that you're having good competition, even in regular play. It's pretty cool. But, yeah, it was nuts.
That's awesome, dude.
It was sick.
So you're going to try and practice him and play him more?
Yeah, especially because I got one of the battle passes, and it's for the super cool Wolverine skin where he's like a
He looks like Van
hunter.
Helsing.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because Hugh Jackman played Van Helsing in the Van Helsing movie, yeah.
And Hugh Jackman played,
Wolverine.
Oh, I was going to talk about Les Mis, but
Yeah.
that works too.
Dude, the Les Mis Wolverine skin will be epic. That'd be really cool, actually. It'd look very similar, but just because it's like
he's
old
just
Victorian,
shaved head and just horrible, nasty, rotting teeth.
like Matt's Discord photo. Sorry,
Like Matt.
Hang on.
Yeah, Matt's.
No.
That's exactly
Jean
how Matt is.
Valjean. Matt's photo on Discord is that Jean Valjean where he's like, he's having a hard time.
He's singing at the convent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I watched that movie for the first time recently. Oh, we talked about it on last season, but
Okay.
last year I watched it.
Last year I watched it recently.
Well, recently, but I watched. Well, when you haven't watched it your entire life, like it came out a while ago, and I've never watched it.
No, yeah.
Last year's recently to me.
1 year versus 26 years.
Yeah. I have a question actually about Marvel Rivals. This is kind of more main topic energy, but I'm just gonna go for it. Before we get too far into things. Excuse me, I had to dab real quick. Do you struggle with Marvel Rivals, like conviction wise at all? Because here's my thing. Came out the game, and I was like, all right, it's a comic book character game, so there's some characters that are a little bit promiscuous looking, whatever you want to call it, like little skin tight outfits and stuff. But part of me was like, yeah, I don't think that's appropriate entirely. There's lots of games though where Fortnite, for example, has skins in it. It's like, oh, I don't have them, but even if I did, I wouldn't play with those skins, right?
Yeah.
And I have kind of a general rule of thumb for video games and me, where especially if I'm like playing as the character, if I can't choose not to, because like the thing that really makes a big difference for me, like when it has those sorts of like sexually provocative outfits and stuff, where it's not like straight up nudity, but it's like, okay, that's pretty tight clothing or whatever. If I can play the game and not play as that character, it makes a big difference, because when you're playing as it, you're like behind that character. Just all you're looking at basically is the character and the inappropriate like outfit that they're wearing. So in Marvel Rivals, I was like, oh, and they weren't too bad until now when it first started, because it's like, yeah, some things are skin tight or whatever, but it's like when the game is moving so fast, I'm not seeing anything anyway, and I'm not choosing to play those characters. I'm just playing like Wolverine or Captain America or whatever, and so I was okay with it. But then they started releasing these skins, and we got like when Miss Invisible Woman came out, there was this really inappropriate skin. Go ahead and pull it up for it. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It was really inappropriate, and like she's basically naked.
Yeah.
And it bothered me so much. I was like, dude, this like ruins the game for me. And of course they're doing it because like that gets a lot of press. People get really excited about it because it's just a meme. Like it was all over Twitter and everything, like the trending on Twitter and stuff, talking about those skins. And then I was like, okay, well, it's one skin in the game. Like I'm not going to play as that character anyway, so it's fine. And but the problem was, like, if I'm playing and someone's playing that skin, they get MVP, then I just have this big splash screen where it's that skin, and it really bothers me. Like if I was streaming or like I don't think it's appropriate, and it was really bothering me. But I was like, I can mostly avoid it. But now there's a character whose base skin is like pretty provocative, and everybody's freaking out about it. So I don't know. I've just been struggling with it. Like I don't know if I want to play the game anymore. I'm not saying it's wrong to play it or not. I'm just like, and also I don't entirely trust myself when it's just that much of the game and it's readily available. Like it gets in my head, and then I think about it, those inappropriate things. Like especially on the front page of the game when you open it, especially if you go to the store, like Emma Frost's new skin. It's just so inappropriate. So I don't know. I put that all out there saying, like, I don't know if you've been thinking about that at all, but I've been thinking about it a lot. And it's the game that I enjoy, a game I can jump into and jump out of really quickly, which is kind of the only games I can play. And so I feel kind of upset to give it up, but I'm kind of thinking about it. But also it's like it's a huge game that everybody's playing, and people in Christian influence, a lot of them are playing it. It's like a great way to play with games with people and stuff.
It's like in League, for example, there is also
lot, right?
So much of the art has a lot of that in it. But in League, you can just, avoid those skins, and then you basically can never see it in the game.
Because the gameplay is way up here anyway.
It's way up there anyway, and if you're ever zooming in, then, you're going way out of your way.
Yeah.
To actually see anything in game. And you can just not play those skins and you're fine. Because the only time that you can really zoom in and not just die is when you're like walking from base or something. And so then going to like Marvel Rivals, where you're constantly staring at, you have the character that you're playing as constantly on screen, and as being a healer for the most part. That's why I started like leaning more towards like Rocket and like
you're not lusting after Rocket Raccoon. Better not be.
No,
there's a whole lot wrong with that.
No. So yeah, I mean, I get that. And I mean, honestly, I could just not play the game ever, and I
wasn't saying like, man, Levi, you should.
Oh no.
But it's been on my mind. Like,
once I'm in game, I'm not really thinking about it at all. More, it's just funny watching, if like during the time that it's like that you have to actually look at any of the characters and anything, I just find it funny to just like jump around and like goof off, jumping off of things. I'm not really thinking about it, but yeah, I think it's unwise, to go out of your way to play those characters with those skins.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm not. She's really cool. I played Emma Frost for like a few games. She's got some cool abilities.
I think so.
But yeah, outside of like doing those initial challenges and seeing how the character is, yeah, it's rough, because like those things that I like to do where I'm just running around in base and just jumping around, that's like the only way that you actually do see stuff with her, which is rough. So I can't play as her, and yeah, I mean, and I don't play the game frequently enough to be like, I don't know.
Like for it to be difficult to give it up, even.
For it to be difficult to give it up, or to like have to go out of my way to be like, I'm not going to play that game because it has all that stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't have a lot of time to play games anyway, and so when I do, I've been defaulting to that one because it's really easy with people in the community. If they're like, "Hey, can we play some games?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's jump to a couple games of Marvel Rivals." But I've just been feeling kind of convicted about it, and I wasn't sure if it's like something anybody else is thinking about. And I am honestly really disappointed. I was talking to Jamie from Satellite Gaming the other day, and we were just like both talking about like, yeah, it really disgusts us. Yeah, I'm not going to play it anymore. And I was like, I've been thinking about that too. But it's a bummer. There's other games though, and I think it's probably better. For example, like in my position with those people, I'm meeting with people on Discord, hanging out, playing games, to be like, hey, I'm sorry, I know you really like that game. I just can't play the game, and I'm not going to, and to set an example in that way. So I'm leaning that way. I haven't played it for like a week or something. I don't remember, but I've just been thinking about it. I was talking to Perry about it last night, just how disappointed I am, because I keep seeing the game and I really want to play it. And there's some characters that I keep like, oh, I really want to get better at Wolverine and try out Spider-Man and stuff. But I'm thinking leaning not playing it unless I can get some mods.
Yeah, you can,
to do the opposite of what most people do with those mods.
Yeah,
and just cover people up more. But I don't know. But then I might have to deal with like the anti-cheat and get in trouble. So
yeah, because they just put out a thing that they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have to do some, cut down on certain mods because they were impacting other people's gameplay."
Yeah, I don't know if there is a mod that can just like make everything safe for work, like family friendly. I'll play the game, but I don't know. I just food for that. You were talking about Marvel Rivals, and it made me think about it. But was there something else about Rivals that you wanted to say?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that,
epic game.
I had an incredible game as Wolverine, and
that's
awesome.
Like,
it was so cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we should show that clip sometime of your stream. You should talk about it on the podcast. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
When I got married, you got married? Yeah, back in 2023. Perry and I went to Wyoming.
The days get longer, but the years grow shorter.
What's that song? Isn't that All Star or
no?
Isn't that a song by Smash Mouth? They say that?
No.
Oh, okay. Looking it up.
Days start coming and they don't stop.
That's
coming.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know I was talking to Mr. Williamson actually, who's quite aged now.
Wow.
I don't remember.
You could have just said like he's an old guy, but
yeah.
he's quite aged. Like cheese.
Like cheese. Wow. No. But he was telling me, he was just like, yeah. And I was like, I was saying something about coming back to the school and seeing all the kids, and then it's so crazy to think that it's been 10 years since I graduated.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, the days get longer, but the years get shorter. It just keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah.
Faster and faster and faster. And he chuckled, and I was just like,
And he giggled.
that's crazy.
The days get longer, the years get shorter. You're like, yeah. And he's like,
Imagining Mr.
be so
Williamson.
creepy. We should have him on the podcast. He's a cool guy. It's one reason I'm very grateful for who my wife is, because she slows me down in a good way.
No, yeah.
It's very easy for me to just be.
And that was a
We were
joke,
just talking
by the way.
about this the other day. Like, it's very easy for me to be someone that's. I think a lot about whatever, like the dominoes in small situations and life. Like, what's next? So how can I best do things now so that they set things up for what's next? So that what's next will be better than what's now. But then I'm not very focused on what's happening now, right? And so that can be good and bad. Like, it's good to have a mix of that. Like, it's very good to be thinking about the next thing so that you can better prepare for it, both in life, just like whether it's wisdom or a task. Like, it's how you get tasks done well often is like if you can be multitasking and doing what you're doing now, but doing it in a way that prepares you to better do what you're doing next. But then I'm not really like very, to use kind of a
You got to stop
cringe
spelling the
term.
words.
Yeah. Oh, that's a better term for it. I was going to say like not very present in the moment, as I say,
Yeah.
But I can be that way. And then sometimes Perry is the opposite, very like focused on what we're doing or focused on like the more micro things going on. And so it works really well together. And so that's
you can't
helped
just
me
be
more
baking
naturally.
cakes all the time. Sometimes you got to sit down and eat it.
Yeah. That's true. No, that's the fat
You're
guy
always-
version of smell the roses.
No, yeah. You're preparing for, well, I wasn't thinking of fat guy. I was just thinking of like, parties,
Oh.
You're preparing for that next party that's going to be great. And then when you're at the party, you're getting the next ingredients to make the next party, but you never stop and, enjoy some cake.
It's really
Talk to
really
some
easy to be
people.
Martha, but sometimes you need to be Mary.
Yeah, that's a better version of it. My goodness.
Yeah. It's really easy to try and work your tail off for the Lord, but you need to rest in him.
Yeah. There you go.
Let's look at some memes. You guys sent a ton of memes to us in our Discord meme review thread in the Discord. Please, this is going to be a better one, I think, because we got some more memes than we did last time. But go to discord.gg/Christian Influence. This is a great way you can be involved. Go to the Discord, go to the Under the Influence channel, and send us your memes. We are going to react to them. What I've been told last time was we're not going to rate them. We're going to review them, which really means we're going to react to them. So we're just going to look at them, and if we laugh, we laugh. If we don't, we don't, and then move on. I think it would be, excuse me, I think it would be fun. That just came out. I think it would be, I think it'd be fun. I'll cut that later. I think it'd be fun if we had some gamified element to it, though, like some way, like you see all these videos, like if you laugh, you lose.
That one was good. You're a loser.
No. So I mean, like those videos of people doing like, you laugh, you lose, something happens.
Where
We
they've
have to
got
do
like
something.
their mouth full of water.
Yeah.
And then they sit there the entire video.
I think we get more audience buy-in too. You're basically watching us have a meeting about the podcast right now. If we did something where if they make us legitimately laugh, we have to do something. Like there's a punishment. Wouldn't that be fun?
Sure.
You don't like that idea.
I
Because you think I'm going to make you eat bad food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100%
Oh, it's gonna
believe.
be.
I know that you're going to make me eat bad food.
So if you make us laugh, I'll make Levi eat bad food. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Look, we're gonna do a Discord meme review. We'll have some fun looking at some memes. It sounds like people enjoyed that episode that we did, the one that's come out, and then we'll figure something out to make the next one fun. Whoa, were you possessed?
No, I just had a
Whoa.
shiver.
Your eyes went like
Dude, I know.
all
it was
up in your
wild.
head. So yeah, we'll look at some memes, and then maybe next time we'll have something fun to add to it, a little spice.
Yeah.
You'll have to squirt ketchup straight into your mouth.
What if we just
Okay.
put water in our mouth for this?
I can do that one. Where are we going to spit take into? Our mics.
Just kidding. All right. Is it on screen? Me. No more. Your dog food bag says 1 cup. The dog. The Oreo box really doesn't say 16 Oreos, Trisha, but here we are. I've seen that one before. It's funny.
That's I mean, it's true.
I don't like, I need to be in the right mood to like laugh at something, you know?
Yeah.
You almost made it except for the language when working on your truck.
Dang, too bad we don't have Jacob.
Yeah, I don't really get it.
Because that's the whole thing. You're working on your truck and then you're like,
Yeah,
getting angry at it, and then it's like Matt working with computers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I got that part of it.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't get the part that made it funny. If you don't click the plus, it should make it big. And then you can click the plus, I think. I mean, not the plus, the play. No, I guess not. I guess I was wrong. You can hit F. All right, here we go. These ones were sent in by Kanan. No. Oh, that one bothers me. That one was entirely.
I don't get that one.
That one
The jam!
oh, that one was it. I thought it was gonna go flat. No! Every day, that one bothers me.
All right, this. Oh. He hit it.
Oh, it's just. Oh, it's kind of beautiful, actually. I'm enjoying this. Oh, it's gonna go right down. Oh, that's satisfying. Not
That's
when you're
satisfying for
Not
you.
when you're playing it. It's so frustrating. Oh no, 50-01. Oh. Oh, I thought the video was gonna just cut away before it happened. It was kind of beautiful, though.
It was a
Thanks for hurting us.
Yeah. What is it called?
Bittersweet Abuse.
The art of tragedy.
The art of tragedy.
Yeah.
That's true.
We
just skip that one. I don't get it.
What are you talking about?
Truly a backrooms caveman moment.
Yeah.
I mean,
It truly was.
it's just Gen
truly
Alpha.
was. Yeah.
I don't get it. I'm sorry.
No, it would have been better if it was
Yeah.
shoot.
Go to the next-
I don't remember what he's called.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just move it on.
There's
The Crudes.
There's a guy. No. A guy went underground and found it was a mall underground. If you know, you know.
No, I don't.
Yeah. It's
When someone's
the
being
Giants
super
from
annoying,
long
but
ago.
Jesus taught you to love your enemies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, making those Valentine's things when you hate everybody in your class.
Never been in that situation
Yeah.
because I was homeschooled then. Oh wow, that's a big number of them. Oh, I saw a funny one. That's pretty epic. Dude.
I love that.
That's sweet. Great way to stabilize your shot.
It's a terrible way to stabilize your shot. Your left arm is not going to stop the gun at all.
Well, maybe if it was connected, like you just
Maybe.
have this big stick up there.
Yeah.
Probably not very effective though. All right, what's next?
Hello, Wibble.
That one's pretty funny. That one's pretty funny.
Oh, you got to say it faster, though.
Hold black ice gentle like hamburger. That is a self meme. So Adam made this meme about himself. Sorry, Adam. Got to do better. Make us laugh. What's next?
Can you explain this one first?
I
don't
don't.
get it.
I don't think that there's anything to explain. Is there?
I mean, his name.
Yeah, his
on
name
Discord
is Adam Black Ice.
Yeah,
because it's
Black Ice.
after a character he's made named
His
a
OC.
dragon named Black Ice. and he drew this art of a little baby version of the dragon like that. And that's just a joke. I'm like, maybe there's a meme about like holding a duck like this that I don't know, but I can't explain it because so sorry. Oh, there's one after.
Oh, there was a video.
There's a video. Oh, Shibs is shaking his head. Should we not watch it?
For 77,000 days.
A visitor.
What? Oh, this is appropriate.
Indeed, I have slept long enough. The kingdom of heaven has long since forgotten my name, and I am eager to make them remember. However, the blood of Minos stains your hands, and I must admit, I'm curious about your skills, weapon, and so, before I tear down the cities and crush the armies of heaven, you shall do as an appetizer. Come forth, child of man, and die.
All right. Was that from a game and I just don't know the
I've
reference?
got no idea.
Well, that was a trip.
That was wild.
I think these are just a bunch of photos of owls. Oh no,
No,
there's
they're
some.
memes,
Okay,
they're
so we're
memes. Yeah,
getting
yeah.
themes here. Owl memes now.
When your mom picked out wait, are we full screen? When your mom picked out a new outfit and keeps telling you how handsome you look in it. Happy owl. Happy
kinda
owl
sweet.
noises.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, that one's clever.
That one is.
We need some spicy memes. Here we go. Me waiting for a kiss after telling her 2 hours of owl facts. All right. Not a meme. Well, I guess the bottom right one. It's not elegant. I get it. Owls are elegant. Oh, when I use the word furthermore in a sentence. Yeah, that's kind of funny. I've been thinking about you owl night long. Ooh. The skull. How aliens would reconstruct the animal.
The animal.
Animal is a tree? What? Can you zoom
I
in?
mean,
The first one is a walnut shell, I think.
well,
yeah,
no,
it-
yes,
it's a
I know.
walnut shell.
But like, the last one is also a tree, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Or is it a horse?
I think it's it's the whole thing about the Romans or no, the Greeks found elephant skulls, and we get a
Yeah.
lot of Cyclops mythology about them being these giant cyclopses with one eye. Because if you look at an elephant skull, it looks like a massive one-eyed creature.
Yeah.
And then you get like other animals that we
What?
found skeletons of, and we looked at them.
You seen there's more furry memes? What?
What shibs?
Are we doing the furry memes?
Might as well.
All
It's
right.
most of what
The-
we have.
They're all videos too.
We'll see what happens.
Dude, it's gonna be wild.
How to kill
It'll be a
bald.
trip. That was incredible.
Gen Alpha.
That one's
It was funny.
Cameras poised and ready, and here comes a young talker. He's in a stolen car, he has no insurance, and he's so off his face on drugs, he's actually incapable of exceeding the speed limit. So he's completely safe. Look, no flash at all there. Now, who's this? Why, it's Osama bin Laden.
What was the thing that he called the kid in the first one?
I
hope that was not
I
inappropriate.
think he was saying like
like tweaker.
tweaker,
Oh, okay,
but with
yeah,
the
'cause he's
British
on drugs.
accent.
Twalk.
I lost my armor.
I lost my presence.
What?
I
It's-
lost my height.
It's like as they.
Lost my size.
I lost my fear factor.
Remember who you
What was that from? Is that from The Lion King? The Remember Who You Are? No.
It's. I mean, yeah. I think the sound, the music is from Lion
was.
King.
But what was the Remember Who You Are?
I
from?
mean, it's the entire thing with Mufasa is like remember,
Yeah.
remember who, like that whole thing. But they
That was funny.
who going back to the owls.
Yeah.
No, that was pretty good.
That one was pretty funny. The build-up makes it funny.
Let's face it, guys
Oh.
only want one thing.
Oh. Yikes.
Got him.
Oh my God. Do I have to have played Team Fortress to... All right. You ever remove just one thing from an outfit and it changes the look completely? I see no difference. I don't know what you're talking about.
You think that furries and terrorists are the same thing? That's crazy.
All right. Whew. We made it, guys. We are... Oh, I sent this one for Levi. And for... I think Ship will like this one. You, Levi?
Are we full screen?
I think so.
Okay.
It's full screen up there.
What happens to the branches that don't bear fruit? What happens to them? In John 15.
Gothica Panda sent that one.
That was pretty good.
Should we read John 15 too?
Yeah, go for it. Pull it up.
John
Jerry.
Jingleheimer Schmidt.
What?
John Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Yeah.
John.
The way that
How's
you
it go?
said that, though, it did not sound like
What
you
is it,
said.
John 15 too?
John 15:2.
Yeah, every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Yeah, so they're gone.
Yeah.
Out of here!
You're gone!
All right, is this the last one? Capel sent us a short. Let's see how it is.
Oh,
Capel almost never misses.
I saw this one.
I can't even see what we're seeing. What are we...
When you use 101% of your brain.
What?
This is kind of wild, though. So, do you know this game?
Yeah. You lose if you accidentally hit the thing. And then you get slapped if you lose.
Yeah, you get slapped if you lose.
Oh, he put his hand in the way. But
Yeah, they
what's
do.
the 101%? Just he's clever
Because
ways
just-
doing it.
It's very clever.
Oh, he got him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought the point was that the guy on the left was the genius. Putting your hand in the way makes it pointless.
Yeah, because they're not wanting to slap directly onto the person's face, right?
But it probably doesn't hurt, really, right? Oh, got him! Can you just go back 5 seconds and watch that?
That's the...
That's the 101%. Yeah. He kicks him. Dude, that was epic. Well done. Best meme out of the bunch. Saved it for the end. Well done, Capel. Thank you for that one. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I want to do that to you.
Slap him in the face? That's wild.
Just
You heard it here first. Jerry, he wants...
That's all right. You said on a previous episode that you want to kick and beat Jarrett.
When did I ever
You're
say
like,
that?
let's see if we should kick Jarrett. Tell us in the comments. And he's like, kick, kick
I
me.
meant
No.
kick him off the podcast.
Yeah, you like, kick me off. And you're like, no. Beat you to a pulp within an inch of your life.
Wait, did I say that?
No, it's basically, yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Pretty much. You know, you might as well have.
Yeah.
You let us know in the comments below if Levi said that. So, all right. Well, there's your meme review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll try and do something more fun with it in the future, and we'll see if you can make us laugh and spew water all over the place, or if you make us laugh, then we have to eat crickets.
If you make us laugh, then Jerry has to pee his pants live.
Ew. Yeah, I saw it. Weirdo.
You're bringing up, terrible things for me, so you get a terrible one.
Maybe
for you.
I will. We'll have a bunch of memes in there, and I'll have one in there that I made trying to make you laugh. And if you laugh to that one, and vice versa, you'll do the same. If the one we make makes the other person laugh, then we get a point, or then the thing happens.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we have to try and guess.
Then
which
that
one-
person has to pee their pants.
and then that person has to pee their pants.
Yeah, on camera.
No, that's weird and gross, but also like weird that you keep saying it.
It'd be funny.
That person has to pee their pants, maybe. I would hate to do that.
That'd be awful.
So no, we're gonna watch a video. I don't know how much time we'll spend on this, but we should spend some time on it. And we probably should have talked about this on the podcast a long time ago,
Yeah.
because it's been a thing for a while.
We brought this up at one point, didn't we?
I think we did in reference to
yeah,
deconstruction
but we
in
didn't
general.
actually get into it.
No, I wanted it to be a topic on an episode, and I don't really know if we're going to do it justice today. But I think because like I grew up watching Rhett Link, so we're going to talk about Rhett Link.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Rhett Link a lot as a teenager. I watched literally every day. I would watch their Good Mythical Morning show. I really enjoyed it, and I thought they were great. I had some of their merch. I think I had a pair of their shoes at one point. They made this thing called the Mythical Shoe. It was really fun. I really bought into their whole thing. I thought they were super fun. They were clean and funny and all that stuff.
I actually found out about them because of you.
Oh, really? Why? How?
That's cool.
I just like said something about them, or
Yeah, you would just bring them up.
oh yeah, I thought they were really funny. I thought they were because they were clean, they were funny, they're engaging. They had a daily show, Good Mythical Morning. I'd watch it basically every day, or I get caught up on it on the weekends and stuff, and I enjoyed them a lot. And the other thing too was you know when you're like enjoying maybe a show or something, and you find out the person's a Christian, it like makes it even more rich. I remember finding out like, oh, these guys are Christians. Like they worked with the guy that made Veggie Tales, and they made like all these songs and stuff that were like kids kind of Awana style Christian songs, and they would sing because the way that their career started essentially was like they did some of that, but what got them started in YouTube, I guess, was making. They just like traveled around the country and made little short film commercials for small businesses. They're really funny, some of them, like the Red House furniture, where black people and white people buy furniture.
Wait, what?
Can you, Shibs, before we watch this, can you go to YouTube real quick, maybe open up a new tab, and just look up Rhett and Link, The Red House? It's the one, The Red House, where white people and black people buy furniture. Have you seen that?
No.
It's pretty funny.
At least it's not coming to mind.
They made
that's
a ton
kind of wild.
like, they're just basically little free commercials. So they go to like small businesses, ones that would never pay or get a commercial made of their business, and they'd be like, "Hey, we'll make one for you." And this is the one they made. So is that the commercial itself? All right, yeah, let's watch that. So this is kind of how their career started, as far as I'm aware.
Can't we all?
Is this highest quality?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, it's old, man.
Can't we all just get along?
At the Red House Furniture,
We can.
At the Red House.
So I think they would talk to the people and be like, "Hey,
I'm
what?"
Richard, aka Big Head.
Big
I work
Head?
at the Red House and I'm black.
At the Red
I like pumping iron and pumping furniture into people's homes.
I like that he looked off,
Yeah.
and there's the cough in the
I'm
back.
Johnny, aka 10 Gauge. I work at the Red House and I'm white. I
And
like
I'm
deer
white.
hunting, bass fishing, and extending credit to all people.
At the Red House.
I'm black and I love the Red House.
I'm white and I love the Red House.
I'm a black woman and I love the Red House.
I am white and the Red House is for me.
Red House.
Dude, healing the racial divide, the Red House.
Look at the sofa. It's perfect for a black person or a white person.
This mattress is perfect for a white person. Or a black person.
He paused too long.
House where black people and white people buy furniture.
And expanding people too.
That's crazy.
There's a bunch of these. They're really funny. That's the one that always comes to my mind.
I
think about
love going to the people, and it just looks like they've got a gun to their head, and they've
I'm a
got
white
to
man.
say, I am a white man, and I love buying furniture there for both black and white people.
Yeah. So we'll just start with that. You know, my understanding is that's kind of what got them into the YouTube thing. They were making stuff like that. They thought it'd be fun and funny, and then they started doing a show. And they've always made funny little videos like that too. But I really bought into it. I thought they were hilarious. I think that's so funny. I think it's clever. It's clean. You know, it's just they're healing the racial divide. Right?
Yeah, they are.
Why can't we be more like those people? Well, I would bargain that we probably are. But
That was the dream.
that was the dream.
That was Martin
Why
Luther
did we lose
King's dream.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
When he
Red
nailed
House.
the Stacey's to the wall.
Martin Luther King.
Saying, sorry, who are you talking about?
Oh.
Martin Luther.
Yeah. No, I got it.
You got it.
I got it. Yeah.
Malcolm X and him are friends. So,
who?
Have we talked about them back then?
We have. Okay.
How I legit didn't
For
know
reference,
who Malcolm X was.
He didn't know who Malcolm X was until Jarrett brought it up to him.
I was like 21.
And at that time, I was upstairs, and then I get called downstairs, and I come into the room, and Jerry's just like, hey, do you know who Malcolm X is?
Well, originally it happened while we were at work, so it was even worse because there's all these other people that then were like, you're a racist. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, you didn't know who Malcolm X is. That makes you racist. I was like, I'm not. What? No. I just didn't. I was homeschooled, so apparently my mom didn't cover that in homeschool history.
I went to private school, and they didn't cover it in private school. So
this is not looking good for Christians.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Rhett and Link, we're going to talk about them. Let's get back to that. Rhett and Link, big part of my childhood. Loved watching their show. And I remember finding out, like, these guys are Christians, but they never really talk about it on the show. And I was always kind of like, well, whatever, you know. But then it was kind of present at times. Like, you could just see it kind of in the way they acted and stuff. But the thing that makes a lot of this really sad for me is I remember being in high school and being like, they're kind of changing. Like, here and there, they'd make a joke that was a little more inappropriate, but it was not too bad. Or, like, it just seemed like they were their priorities. You could just kind of tell when you watch enough of someone's content, like, things about them are changing. Well, a few years ago, it broke my heart. It was when we were living together at that house. I remember seeing it all over the internet, like Rhett and Link come out having deconstructed. They're like, we're not Christians anymore. I listened to their podcast episode where they talked about why, and it was a really long episode. Each of them talked about, like, okay, this is where I'm at. And then I guess every year they would revisit it and they would talk again, like, because in the first episode, I remember them saying, like, you know, maybe my mind will change. You know, maybe I'll change my mind about this stuff. But let's watch this clip. This one's like from a year ago on the Howie Mandel podcast. I figured we could just watch it and talk a little bit about it. Maybe we should have already done that before I said some of those things. But the reason it's really topical right now, because it's been over the last few years that these guys have been talking about this more publicly and stuff. And it's sad. But recently, Rhett went on the Alex O'Connor podcast, and he broke it down. And a lot of this is coming from Rhett's side, and Link is just kind of being tagged along. But let's go ahead and we can react to it. We can pause it if we need.
He kind of spearheaded this.
There you go.
The questions and the quest of, okay, I'm not satisfied with some answers I'm getting. I was his sounding board for his spiritual deconstruction, and so I think that I was, just kind of along for the ride, honestly.
Can we 1.25 speed it?
My brain doesn't work in the same way. I was much more comfortable because I thought it was working for me. I thought that how I conducted my faith was more helpful than harmful. Actually, now I've started to realize over the past decade that there were a lot of things that were healthy for me to shed in terms of judgment and shame and how I process that. But as a sounding board, I was pretty much just kind of like a step or two behind him in terms of my evolving beliefs.
Because as we said,
so Hebrews 3:13,
yeah,
like encourage one another, exhort one another, every day as long as it's called today, like pushing each other closer to God. Like, this is why you have to have that in your life, because like that verse talks about sin's deceitfulness, right? Like, we can be persuaded and deceived by sin. Like, it's attractive to us, and eventually we will come to go like, oh yeah, we will shed these things that we know to be true. Why? Because we're attracted to this sin, right? And they don't talk about it in this clip. But what I've heard when they've talked about it more at length, one of the big things for Link, like Rhett was big about, I have all these questions that he believed Christianity wouldn't answer. And then he had this other, opposing worldly evidence, going against it. It's like, well, they have answers, and that's what was attractive to him about it. Link, when he's talked a lot about it, he said, he could not rationalize what he believed was how the Bible would hate certain types of people, meaning LGBTQ people. So they have their producer, one of their producers was a good friend of theirs for a long time, and she's lesbian. And he's like, the hard thing for him, right? They moved to LA, they started this big production for their show, and they hired this girl who's like very talented, and they become close friends with her. She's basically like a daughter to them or whatever, or very close friend. And the hard thing for Link was he's like, I can't rationalize going to church on Sunday and being told that I'm supposed to hate this person, and I worship a God that hates her when I'm around her all the time, and she seems like she's just loving, like love is love and all this stuff. He's like, how am I, like, I can't have this. He's like, I always felt like there's this elephant in the room, like talking to this girl, like our friend Stevie, like how am I supposed to talk to her and know in the back of my head I'm supposed to tell her that she's going to hell because of who she loves. Like, so that's where he's, my understanding of what he said his biggest thing was. And I think there's a lot there. Like one of it is like, there's this big thing that goes unaddressed. And it sounds like, I don't know if they didn't get the help they needed, the right people in their life to tell them what the Bible really says. And so, like, because then there's a level of ignorance, which the onus is also on them, you know. But there's a level of ignorance that's like, well, then they don't really know what Christianity is, what being a follower of Christ is. Or they do, and they're choosing to reject it, right? Because in the way that he's talking about, when he said, it's not in this clip, I wish I had the clip, but when he's talking about, you know, the homosexuality issue, like, he's like, well, I'm just being told, like, I'm supposed to hate this person. It's like, well, that's not what you're being told. So either you're choosing to straw man it that way, or you just don't know what it really is saying. But that, I just want to throw that out there. Because, like, in this, all that Link really says is, like, he's the sounding board for Rhett. And that's probably more what we should talk about, because it also works well with our theme. But I just wanted to say that too, because we'll hear a lot of Rhett talk about his main reasons, and then Link say, well, I was the sounding board, so I was just kind of a few steps behind him, and eventually I got persuaded as well, right? But Link has talked in other things about his primary issue was, there's this person I love. She fully embraces this thing that is part of her identity, which is that she is gay. He's like, and I felt like that meant I had to hate her. It's like, well, you don't know what it means then. Like, to serve the Lord, unfortunately. Well, I hate to say that, sounds really mean. I try to be careful, because sometimes people do know what it means, and they want something else more.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. But I try to be really careful. I want to correctly represent people's reasons.
Yeah.
Because then you have to do that to address them. Mm-hmm. So, and they shouldn't straw man Christ.
No.
And I don't want to straw man, even though they're wrong. Like, I don't want to straw man their opinion or perspective on it or whatever, because I don't think that's going to do us any favors in trying to persuade them with the truth. Also, I think, speak the truth in love. I don't think it's very loving to be like, oh, you just have this problem with it and you just don't get it. It's like, well, sometimes if you really get the gospel, then you'll believe it. You know what I mean? If you really get it, that means you really get the bad news, so you really get the good news. But they can understand they can know about it. They can understand like the whatever, and still choose to reject it too. Like, so I don't know, but maybe we should respond or continue.
First, the questioning personally. The
Do you like Howie
decision
Mandel?
To make a change in a direction of thought and how you operate your life is a.
He just always kind of reminded me of you.
That could have been a huge wedge, and maybe the end of.
Sorry, I want to hear what he had to say. Actually, can you go back?
I was going to respond to you, and then I was like, well, I'm going to listen to this, and then you just keep making jokes.
Sorry.
No, I used to watch.
What Howie Mandel says here is actually pretty interesting.
I used to watch the what was it called? The one with all the briefcases.
Yeah, Deal or No Deal.
Yeah, Deal or No Deal.
There's a new version of Deal or No Deal.
Really?
It's called Deal or No Deal Island, and it makes the show actually more interesting, kind of, but not interesting enough for me to watch it. So
I remember it was incredible when I was a.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I had the game. The Deal or No Deal game.
I didn't. I thought that the game was the stupidest thing in the world.
All right.
Because you're not actually like winning $1 million, so what's the point?
Yeah, I think Skyrim's stupid because you're not actually the Dragonborn. Let's go ahead.
Because as we said, you're.
I'm just saying, from like as a kid, that's what I thought.
It makes more sense.
Okay, so firstly, the question.
We're getting judged in the other room. Okay, we have.
Dude, Shibbles is getting angry with us.
Because as I said, you're the questioning personally, the decision to make a change in a direction of thought and how you operate your life is a real personal thing. That could have been a huge wedge and maybe the end of this partnership.
Well, and it started with the first person I kind of confided in was my wife, and and I've seen this so many times. It's very unusual for a married couple that are both in a particular faith and one person says adios. Most of the time, those in a divorce.
Right.
The first time I told her, I mean, listen, we didn't believe that evolution happened. We believed that Adam and Eve were real. We believed that what
his mannerisms. Does he remind you of Jude at all, Rhett?
A little bit.
Sometimes he does when he's like, it's just the seriousness he's talking with off in the corner. I think that's a good point that Howie made. He's like, because it's not just relationships, like friendships, you know, it's obviously marriages. Rhett is right. Often that will end in divorce. The really sad thing is it's a bad Christian witness for a spouse who is a believer. Both of them are believers, right? And one of them says, yeah, you know, I'm done with this. I don't know if that's a good witness for them.
No,
to
it's
be
not
like,
a good
divorce
witness to
them.
divorce. We're called, you know, if your spouse is not a believer, then to stay in the marriage because divorce is wrong.
And like to demonstrate sacrificial Christian love, right? Christ-like love, hopefully to be a good witness and show them what the truth is, right? So like enduring that, like there are some incredible stories of women whose husbands have decided like, you know, this is not like they just go way off the rails, right? And they are like a faithful wife, loving them despite it. Key example, like Lee Strobel, really fascinating story. I encourage you to watch the movie or better yet, read the book, The Case for Christ. That the whole reason he's a believer is because his wife is like, I'm all in. I believe, and he hates Christians, and she knows. But she's like, I'm going to stand up for what's true, and I'm just going to keep loving you, and I'm going to keep telling you the truth. But I'm not going to let it ruin our marriage. But I'm not, mainly she's like, I'm not going to let you ruin our marriage. So like she stays with him even though people tell her like it would be easier for you to divorce him. Then she's confused because she's like, I'm not supposed to divorce him. I'm supposed to be a believer, like all these things. It's a fascinating story. But what Rhett is mentioning here, it's true and it's sad that like, yeah, a lot of times this thing, then they do just get divorced. And what if that could be the thing that fixes it? Like what if that's the thing that God could use to bring them back into a relationship with him? And it just breaks my heart. But I think Howie's question is actually a good question. It's a good interview question. He's like, you guys are best friends. Like, that's basically your brand. Like, best friends do stuff together.
Wait, did he divorce his wife?
No. Who? Howie?
This guy.
No, neither of them did.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying, though, is like, he's talking about how, because Link is talking about how, like, yeah, I was the sounding board. Rhett's coming to me, basically telling me, like, I am struggling with this. And Howie's like, hey, that could have hurt your friendship. Like, did it? You know? And they basically say no. Yeah. But, it's interesting too. We should probably give this. This doesn't get brought up in this clip. So they worked with the guy who started VeggieTales, and I'm pretty sure they were supposed to start some show with him. But they were both big into Cru, Campus Crusade for Christ, and they were like essentially college missionaries, is my understanding. So this gets brought up a lot now in interviews. So in the interview he does with Alex O'Connor, he talks a lot about how he was a professional Christian. Rhett does.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, but. Their relationship, their friendship, like a huge part of it, what really solidifies their friendship is that they both were diehard believers, like fully, like that's what they like to say, like dyed in the wool or whatever. Like they were really, you know, professional believers is how they say it a lot. And so it is an apt question for Howie to be like, were you afraid that you would lose your friend?
Yeah. It's also, you know.
It's also a misunderstanding of Christianity.
Yeah. And by saying, yeah, we were professional believers, so that means that they can just, you know, change their profession and then they're no longer believers.
Say that again. What? They're no longer believers?
Yeah, so they change their profession and then they're no longer believers. Like it's just a career choice.
Yeah, I don't know if they're saying you're saying they're likening it to that, right?
Yeah, and in not even if they don't, you know, even if that's not their viewpoint directly, but it does have those connotations that you're likening it to your job, which, you know, our faith in Christ should be more important than our job. You know, it's something that's full-time, way more than a job can ever be. But
it comes with responsibility, right?
Yeah, and it has all of these incredible impacts on your life. I don't know. It feels like you're bringing your faith down by saying that it's your job in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he, when they say professional Christian, I think what he means is we were talking to Shibs about this earlier. I think he's trying to add some level of validity to say, like, I was really in it. And so if I'm out of it, then it's not legit.
Which is wild.
But also, I think they are also saying that, like, it was so consumed their life. Like, he said this a lot. Rhett has said a lot on interviews, like, don't tell me I wasn't really a believer. He's like, because I was, basically to say, like, I was a professional Christian, like, because it was so much part of my life, and he's about to say some of this here, that, like, we were, doing all the things, checking all the boxes, right? Which is also, again, belittling it to something that is religious rather than a relationship, right? But yeah, I see what you're saying. I think that in some ways it was their job for a little bit, like they were like missionaries with Crew and stuff, and I think that can have, unfortunately, a negative effect on people too. Like, you really have to be in ministry. I think you need to look at ministry like all of us are in ministry.
Yeah.
And that's how it needs to be looked at. And God just has different people in ministry leadership. That's like when Christians look at working in ministry as working in ministry, or I'm just a Christian with a normal job, then I think that it can lead in really hyperbolic examples lead to things like this, where it's like, yeah, I was a professional Christian. I really worked in it, which means I really believed it. And then what is that insinuating about the people that aren't pastors? It's like as if they don't really believe in it or something.
And
which I think is super dangerous and offensive.
And it's also, I also feel like he's just coming into a fallacy. Like, if I've not heard him say it, but talking about being a professional Christian, like giving himself all of these, I was in it and I knew about it, so giving himself credentials where there weren't any, if he's trying to have all these questions that just go unanswered, which is wild, because you can dig into the scriptures, go to people, like look up, like we're in the age of YouTube, we have a bunch of doctors that just make massive videos on their essays that they've done on a bunch of different topics, a bunch of different like the Connectly debates that go into a bunch of issues that many people have with Christianity.
Yeah, I think it's dangerously prideful if we're insinuating that, like, because you aren't a plumber and you're a pastor, that somehow you're a professional Christian and so you're in ministry and other people aren't. I think it's more humbling if you are in those positions, like in a pastoral position or in a like missionary position, to remember that, like, you're in ministry and so is every other believer. You're supposed to be. God has just put me in a position of ministry leadership. And then it's also, like, encouraging and should convict us a little bit for the responsibility that we have for the person that is not in a pastoral or missionary position to remember, like, I'm also in ministry, right? But I don't know if that's the issue that went on here. I'm just saying, like, the terminology. I guess we're just more talking about the terminology.
Yeah, we were just talking about bringing up the terminology because I think it's a weird thing to say.
Yeah,
but let's continue.
And I don't even think he says it in this clip.
In the book of Genesis was like history. And so
was there a moment where this came, where you had a flash and you went, wait?
It was like I started reading about this in my early 20s, but mostly what I would do is I would go and I would be like, okay, there's all these people saying that the Earth is 10,000 years old, but like every time I go to a museum, they're like, this thing lived millions of years ago. I never looked into this, but I started reading about it, and actually I started reading from, like, I would go to Christian sources, right? And there's a lot of Christians who don't believe that. There's a lot of Christians who believe in evolution, right? There's a lot of Christians who believe that the world is old or whatever and kind of accept the established science. And so I would slowly
That's wild. Established science talking about evolution.
But then when it was like, I don't know how to reconcile this particular thing about, well, if we have this common ancestor with chimpanzees and apes and Adam and Eve, how do you explain that? I would start asking these questions, and then I would go to my pastor, go to these other people. I would ask them questions, and I didn't get satisfactory answers. And then it just was like a house of cards that was slowly falling.
So to say things like established science too, it's just saying, like, it's the presupposition to that is that I have to be able to balance biblical truth and this idea that everything the world says is true, right? Which is a fundamental misunderstanding of Scripture too. Like, that's also, like, God tells us that the world is an enemy to us.
Yeah.
And then also you can see historically and just even in our present day, not just over like, because of course we can see it over thousands of years how the world has made mistakes and come to conclusions that are based on tons of people studying things and are still wrong, right? But like, it seems as though the presupposition of what he's saying is like, oh yeah, I'm trying to balance this which I believe to be true with also this which I'm believing everybody just believes to be true, so I'm believing to be true. And since they can't balance, not like one must not be true. It doesn't even seem like he goes there, but he does end up there by saying like, oh, it's the Bible.
Yeah.
But it's just like what he's trying to say is like, oh, how can these things exist without me saying this one's not true, the evolution.
Because he just comes from the standpoint that that science is true.
Exactly. That's what I mean, yeah.
So then when there are conflicts between certain parts of the Bible, then how can these work out?
Yeah, because
science tells me that there's not a God and that, everything just came from soup.
Which ultimately it's selective science, because there's actually a lot of science.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of other different theories on it, but that's the big one, which I'm assuming because he keeps talking about evolution.
The popular
that's his view that this is true, and he says the proven, which it's not proven. It's all theories. To my knowledge, they haven't been able to actually do any conclusive evidence
to prove evolution.
Certainly at all.
Not.
Yeah, I was just going to interject and say it sounds like he didn't give evolution the scrutiny that he's giving Christianity.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, he's not, and also like he's.
Well, how can all the scientists be wrong?
Yeah, because all those guys are alive. They're all talking right now.
Yeah,
like that's something I've heard a lot. It's like, why would I go with the words of people that wrote this and then died, and then the people that are alive right now and living? Like that's such a false. But like, no, that's true. He's being. I think it's because my big thing with why Rhett Link slowly devolved into this is also because they moved to LA, to jump into Hebrews 3:13 again, surrounding themselves with people and culture and all of this. They went to Sodom, right? Yeah. Went to Gomorrah, and when you go there and you're living in it, more than likely it's going to. I mean, sin is going to deceive you.
Yeah, they hired on,
Yeah, they brought it into their.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah, you're talking about Stevie, their producer or whatever. Yeah. When this is not to say like as Christians we shouldn't be friends and friendly to people that are living in sin and need Christ.
Absolutely
but it's like,
not. But when you're surrounded by it and it's entering into all of the things that you do.
Yeah.
And then your echo chamber is just you and your buddy.
Mm-hmm.
It's dangerous to when you have an echo chamber of just yourself.
Yeah,
that's dangerous. When it's just you and your buddy, and I don't know personally how deep into reaching out to trusted spiritual mentors. That
I'll take his word for it. He said he talked to his pastor. He just said right there. He's like, I talked to my pastor and I found unsatisfactory answers. Here's the other thing too. I think we make this false idea in our heads. It's like, oh, I have a question about something, and unless I have a satisfactory answer, what I find to be satisfying, then this thing isn't true, right?
Yeah.
He's like, because I don't believe that the Bible and people that are preaching the Bible are giving me what I find to be a satisfying answer. Therefore, the whole thing, like he said, it's a house of cards, it starts falling apart. But if this gives me what I find to be satisfactory, well, often the truth, not maybe often, I'll just say sometimes the truth isn't immediately satisfactory.
Yeah.
So then that means if your life is built on going to places and trying to find the satisfactory answer, you're going to have a really tough time, given that sometimes certain things will be satisfactory.
Man, wouldn't it be easier if homosexuality wasn't a sin?
Because for some people it would be satisfying?
Wouldn't that make our lives, like personally, easier?
I don't know about personally, but oh yeah, I guess.
Like,
like there's people in our lives that it wouldn't be heartbreaking knowing that they've committed their life to this
and trying to, figure out ways of trying to help them out of this sin that is in their lives.
Yeah, it wouldn't plague our minds. And it wouldn't be a huge issue in the world.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be more satisfying to have been like, oh man, yeah, that's like, in the moment, to.
Sure. Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, if we don't believe that it's a sin, isn't it not more satisfying?
Yeah. So
because
then,
we can...
when it's in the Bible, it's like, it's satisfying to a different extent, because it's satisfying knowing that God has, plans and created everything with a purpose, with reason.
But you're saying to our brains,
but to our brains in the
immediate,
sure, and
okay.
So whatever, I don't know what answers he found were not satisfying. It'd be cool to know.
It sounds like he's like talking about the millions of years thing, and
all of
that.
With the evolution and things, where we have the Bible, we have the, Christians found a Catholic priest figured out that the Big Bang happened and was able to prove that there was a starting point to the universe, which it was thought that the universe was just eternal. So now that there's a starting point, well, everything that has a beginning has a cause. So then they had to figure out a cause for the universe that wasn't God. And apparently it's just not satisfying to have God be.
Yeah, I think it's way more satisfying.
But
there is a
But then they have to,
intentional
then you have
being.
to be subjected to an intentional being that wants to have a relationship with you.
And so that's why it all comes back to pride.
Yeah.
Like literally, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, dude, everything, I think, every issue, and of course it does, like, because we're supposed to love God, which is the opposite of pride. Love, putting someone above yourself, right? So, of course, the opposite is like whenever there's any issue, anything that is against God, of course it comes back to pride, because ultimately you can whittle everything down and be like, so you just want what you want? But also it's like, if to even submit to the idea that what caused this great bang of energy that everything started with or whatever, right? To say that it is God, then they have to buy into the fact that, like, well, then there is a being greater than us, and that being should get to tell us what is right and what is wrong.
Or at least you need to... if there's a being that powerful out there, then he's going to know things that you don't know. So you want to at least learn what he's got to know.
Yeah. Yeah, it bums me out. I just think if you're living your life...
Man, Rhett, your answers aren't satisfying.
They're not. But if you're living your life just going, hey, and this is for Christians too, like, we got to remember, like, the immediate satisfaction is not what life is about. And you can see that clearly. Like, if immediate satisfaction, even from not just from an intellectual standpoint, from just like even a physical standpoint, is the logical way of going about things, then there'd be nothing wrong with pornography, right?
Or drugs.
Or drugs, right? But we can clearly see through science that is not true, through observable science, that those things are not best for life. They're not best, not just for fulfillment, but like it will just lead to you being more than likely alone. You might, like, I mean, with drugs, dying, but also like even from an evolutionary standpoint, how at all, like if you want to take the evolutionary standpoint, like worldview, how are drugs at all helping the whole like what's the word? Like how evolution, like how it's like supposed to be advancing, right? I guess it would just be like the people that are doing drugs, like they're dying off, so the people that don't,
well, they fell into a...
But then it's like, how is the immediate satisfaction thing actually playing a role? Like, it's not actually good. So it's just like there's this kind of this like these two things don't go well together is my point. Like the evolutionary standpoint about how like the best ideas should settle to the top, the best of everything should settle to the top, and it should advance everything.
Well, we've just not evolved to that point yet. We're still getting there.
Yeah. But I just mean like that can't coincide really with this logic idea of like I'm searching for the most immediately satisfactory answer. Yeah. I mean, ultimately though, it is satisfying. Like a relationship with God is satisfying.
Yeah.
Real satisfaction and fulfillment only comes from a relationship with God.
But it's not immediate.
Because it's ultimately satisfying.
But it's not immediate gratification.
No. I mean, sometimes it is.
Well, sure. Yes. But in broad scope.
Yeah.
Life with Christ is not immediate gratification.
No, that's not what it's about. Yeah, it's about dying all to yourself.
About long term, and not even for a vast amount of people. It's not even any gratification in this life of anything,
because you're not supposed to be. You're not living for yourself.
Yeah.
So gratification and satisfaction is about living for yourself. But God demonstrated to us essentially this thing that was entirely unknown, which is a new type of love, a love that humanity may have experienced here and there, but had not like really quantified or qualified, right, and put into understandable action and into words, really, this idea that, oh, real love is not putting yourself first, right? You look all throughout the Bible, like what are they consistently struggling with? It's like putting themselves first, and finally God demonstrates to them in this very tangible way, and the way that brings them in salvation, that no, real love, what it is not serving yourself, it is serving others, first serving God and then serving others. And then all of this is born out of that. And so it's not about like, it's not this self-punishment either, where like, oh yeah, well, to be a Christian is about like not ever getting satisfaction, or not like you're just supposed to just take the hard road. It's just about realizing that like life isn't about you, and a life best lived is one that serves others. And serves God. Because what has God demonstrated to us? He demonstrated to us that he has created us, and that he is magnificently glorious. And so he is worthy of our praise. But despite being worthy of our praise, and us, not being worthy to walk the ground he's walked on, right? He says, I'm going, because I want you, I'm going to bring you into relationship with me. Why? Well, because you can't be in relationship with me, because you have chosen otherwise. But I want you, and so I'm going to pursue you, and there's a price that you have earned, and I'm going to pay it for you. It's like so counter to what is ingrained in us, but we can't deny the truth of it when we actually stop, step back, and observe the, worldly evolutionary standpoint of just like getting ahead, doing everything for yourself. Because that's what it's all about, like this race to be the person that gets ahead, that eats the other animal and gets ahead. It's like, yeah, that's all just personal gratification, satisfaction. And that all ends up dying out. It's just, But then at the same time, they try and talk about charity. I don't know, but I think I'm just complaining now. Maybe we should watch the rest of the clip and then move on.
Let's see the rest of the clip.
I remember writing in my journal, I was journaling at the time, I was like, I'm pretty sure I don't believe any of this stuff anymore, right? But all along the way, I would like when I told my wife that I thought evolution had happened, she burst into tears. I just want to give you an idea of where we come from and the worldview that we were all sort of held captive to. And so, but the funny thing is that,
but I never reacted that way.
No, so I would meter out the conversation with Jesse at the time. Be like, she can only handle so much. But Link and I would hang out, and I would be like, bro, let me tell you the last thing that I read that really makes me think that none of this stuff is true. And you would listen. And again, you weren't the kind of guy that was going to go off and do the research on your own, but you were the kind of guy that was going to listen to someone who you trusted who had.
Yeah, I mean, I read a couple of books too, but like, it wasn't.
That's a dangerous place to be.
You weren't searching. He was seeking and sharing. And you were listening and being much more passive.
So if
I valued the security of what I had, and I just felt like there was a lot at stake in trying to. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be here for you, and I'm gonna lovingly listen and respond and be a sounding board. But what I'm really gonna do is I'm gonna try to like say, yeah, but let's just kind of tamp all this down. Get it out of your system. I think is what I thought at first. And
so what was the switch where you went, yeah?
I mean, it was just the preponderance of it. It just kept coming. I mean, anywhere you look, I mean, it's like it just kept coming. And I did start reading other people's accounts of deconstruction and their reasoning. And
was your wife?
He's just like, man, I'm not going to challenge any of this stuff. But okay, just say your stuff. Say your things. Oh, you've just got more and more and more and more. Man, maybe this isn't for me.
But in your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you, yet do it with gentleness and respect. Yeah. It doesn't sound like Link took that seriously.
No.
It doesn't. Hebrews 3:13 and 1 Peter 3:15, right? Always encourage one another to glorify God. Push them closer and closer into a relationship with God. Why? Because sin is deceiving, and it wants you, right? Satan wants you to be complacent and to be lazy. Well, the Bible says to be a workman, be a good worker. And one of those ways that we should be, not just encouraging, not just saying, hey, go love God. But then when they come to you and they're like, hey, I'm reading this thing and it seems like it disproves the Bible. Be like, well, I know the answer. Or I don't, and I'm going to get it for you.
Yeah.
Don't be a sounding board, right?
Yeah.
Have responses.
Have something that can challenge, just, you don't even have to have the answer, but just questioning the person about what they have so that they can question it, not just being able, it's not just a therapy session where they're just, blabbering on and on and on, and then it's like, okay, have a good day. And then you're like, man, this is just a mountain of stuff. But being able to, well, why do you think from point A to point B, how'd you get there? Like,
yeah, I mean, he says too, he's like, I was just trying to be loving and kind and listen. It's like, no, I mean, again, failing to see what love is. Like, if you believe, because he said, I valued the security I had. It seems like Link is like, well, I still believe this because I want to believe it. It's like, well, if you really want it, you should want it for him too. Well, then you should
probably, want it for him too. And then, so you should probably question.
And I think too, a lot of this, especially because they're living in LA, I think it became this like, they started to kind of see maybe or believe that Christianity is like this lifestyle too. Because it seems kind of, he's like, I valued the security of this life. It's like he's living this lifestyle. And when you see it like that, it is somewhat easy to give up, even if it wasn't easy for them when they say that. But like, they were able to give it up. But when you believe that it's true, then you believe that like nothing else matters.
And they, being in LA, it'd be much easier to not have to not be a Christian.
Oh yeah, it's way easier to live with people in LA because you're surrounded by it.
Yeah. So they have all of these things that,
There's something I will say about that maybe not enough, but a good thing that Rhett did is that, like he said, he's thinking, struggling, doubting. He wrote it down. I think that's good, right? He didn't just keep it in. I think he didn't go far enough. But then he said he went and he talked to his friend about it. I don't know if he was going to Link and saying, hey, I'm struggling with this. Help me understand. I think he was more saying like, hey, because it sounds like he's saying, hey, I'm figuring life out. Let me tell you.
Yeah. And then Link is saying, yeah, I didn't do any of my own research. This guy is doing the research. And
well, later he's like, I read a few books.
And then he's like, I read a few books.
Yeah. I don't think he wants to look stupid. That like he didn't have to do any of his own research. I think he was eventually convinced by Rhett to look into these resources and stuff and convince himself away from Christ.
I mean, what I'm feeling for most of it is that he didn't look into it and was trusting in his buddy to look into it. And, it was a convincing enough argument for him.
Yeah.
It's sad.
I just am bummed. Because these guys were like childhood heroes to me. They really were. I thought they were the greatest. And I don't hate them now or anything. I just mean that, like, it's a bummer to see them fall. Yeah.
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And they really did it.
No, I hope for the best for them, of course, still. I pray for them. This is why it's important that we don't see internet personalities or celebrities or whatever like this and don't pray for them. We should. What I was saying that was good about what Rhett did that he probably didn't do enough, though, is he said, like, oh, yeah, I talked to my pastor to this. Like, you have to go with these questions really in good faith. Are you going because you want to know the truth? Like, doubting Thomas comes up a lot. I hear Rhett talk about him a lot, too. The doubt in what Thomas is like, what he's actually doubting is he's asking for evidence. And Jesus doesn't say, like, it's wrong to look for evidence. Because if it was, then he would have said, okay, so Thomas, like, I'll have nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't, like, he still says, right, that, like, he allows Thomas to inspect and then believe. And he's, honored are you who believes, but even more honored are those who believe and were not able to touch.
Yeah.
So, like, the doubting isn't this thing that's like, yeah, I think obviously from a logical standpoint, God is saying, like, of course it's better if you have no doubt and yet you believe what is true because it is good enough. What you have seen is good enough for you. What you've heard is good enough for you. That's incredible. But he doesn't then say, like, so Thomas, because you needed to, and I think a lot of people are like this, are like Rhett and Link are saying, like, it feels like we're being punished for doubting. No, I think the church should wrap their arms around these people when they're doubting and go, hey, it's not wrong to ask questions. If anything, if you're asking questions, earnestly seek the answers. Because guess what? Then your faith will be strengthened. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they had people like that around them. Maybe they had people that browbeat them a little bit and been like, don't ask questions. And I don't think that that's how Christians should be. I think a lot of the American church has been that way. Been like, don't ask questions. Don't look into it. Don't doubt it all. You're going to hell if you even think for a second that maybe it's not true. Dude, I've been there. I've been there. Even sometimes I have thoughts that come into my head, even in the last few months, where I'm just like, that's not a healthy thought.
Yeah.
Where I'm thinking like, or someone in my life is struggling with this as well, and they've made a decision that they're like, yeah, I don't believe in this, and I'm like, well, I trust that person. What if I'm wrong? Not that long ago, I just had this thought where I was like, what if I'm totally wrong? And at the end of all this, I just lived my life and I was wrong. But guess what? I talk to people about it. I pray about it. And then I go, hang on a second. I doubted there for a second. Not good. But if I just let that doubt sit and go, oh man, that would be bad. That's such a bummer. Well, that's going to fester. But if instead I meet that doubt with evidence, there is compounding, like astounding evidence for the truth of Scripture. Then those doubts wash away. And guess what I'm instead? I'm affirmed and strengthened in what I know to be true. Right? We talk about it at youth group all the time. You know, and I'd like to say this a lot to the kids. It's like, you're feeling something, that's doubt. Match your feelings, like step back and match them with facts, right? And
facts don't care about your feelings.
Facts, but the beautiful thing is the fact, the truth, the word, God does care about the way you feel. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like our feelings will lie to us, so we need to step back and look at what we know to be true. And when you observe the truth, like the verifiable, observable truth in front of you, like it is clear that God exists. He created us, and He created us with a purpose. And the evidence demonstrates that Jesus existed, performed miraculous things, died, and then rose again. If a guy does that, then I'm going to listen to the rest of what he has to say. If a guy legitimately dies and then comes back to life, then I believe him when he says that he's the Son of God and that he is going to tell me how to live my life and that he knows how to do it best, because he knew how to beat death best. So he knows how to do life best, you know, like, I think with Rhett, really want the truth instead of just wanting what you want and finding the things that give you the answers you want. And for Link, if you want to be a really good, like for us to learn from them, right? Like if this is wrong, then they're going down the wrong path. They're leading themselves farther and farther from Christ. How do we not do what they're doing? When we're doubting, like Rhett was doing, doubt and look for evidence.
Yeah.
Right? And then remember that, like, you are limited on this side of eternity, but God is not. And He's provided us, He's revealed to us Himself in Scripture. Go to Him in Scripture. Look for the validity in Scripture and believe in what the Lord has revealed to us. And remember, and if you're going to be skeptical of the creation that's trying to find answers to make themselves greater than God, because they're never going to be able to do that. But like, if you're going to be skeptical, certainly be skeptical of the created being. Yeah. And then for Link, like, be a good friend. And a good friend affirms what is true and pushes closer to God. And 1 Peter 3:15, right? Like, I think a good friend has and finds the right answers instead of just says, hey, he says, like, this is just a phase. I'll wait till it goes away.
Yeah.
Well, sin is deceitful. If you have someone that is struggling in your life, don't just hope that it's a phase and that it goes away. God put you in a mission field, and that's the people that are around you. Do your job. Like, don't just hope it's a phase and it'll go away. Because if that person ends up going like, you know what, forget it, and they go do a bunch of things, that's them. They made that decision. But God did put you there to be an encouragement to them, to glorify Him, and to give an answer, to be a witness, right? A witness is like, a witness in a court is like, this is what I saw, this is the truth, I'm affirming the truth. That's what they're supposed to do. And if you're supposed to be a witness, like, witness, don't just sit there and, it's a phase, they'll get over it. Because Rhett didn't get over it. And now you're locked in too.
Yeah, he wasn't really sharpening his brother,
Sharpening iron.
Iron, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And when you're just sitting there, not doing anything, and the other guy's just,
clanging against a cement wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really sharpening anybody.
Yeah, he's literally watching his friend become duller, and he's like, no, he'll end up sharper eventually. Come on, man. Iron sharpens iron. It's your job to step in. And if you believe
and then he didn't,
in the gospel,
sharpen himself against, yeah. It's just...
And I don't want to just sit here and poo-poo on these guys. I'm just saying, if this is what they've done, and we believe that it's wrong, and we believe that it is best to be in a relationship with God, which we do, then how can we learn from their mistakes? And I think that's what I was trying to wrap it up there.
How can we learn from this is when you do have doubt, bring it up to somebody.
That's the other thing I would say. I don't want us to be saying to the viewers, too, it's oh, man, Rhett, doubt. That's why I tried to talk about the doubt thing, too, because
But don't just go to somebody and be like, hey, man, I doubt about this. And if they're like, that sucks.
You're like, oh, I guess it's wrong, then. You know what I mean? If it's that's all they say.
So you want to hang out and, play video games or something instead?
Yeah. You have, this is something we say with Christian influence all the time. You have influence.
Yeah.
It's going to be good or bad.
Don't just, listen to their complaints and just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
No, if somebody's actually doubting their faith, that's not just... It's not just them having a bad day.
Yeah.
And saying, oh, man, work was terrible and these people were making stupid decisions. This is their soul, their eternal life, and not only their soul and their eternal life, but all of the people that they can influence for the kingdom.
Yeah. And I was going to say this earlier and I forgot. I think this is also specifically can be bred out of the growing up in the church, which I know these guys did. We say this a lot about the gospel because it's the good news. You really need to know the bad news. When we're sharing the gospel, you're supposed to really know the bad news and explain the bad news because the good news is the answer to it, right? Mm-hmm. I think when you grow up in the church, sometimes you don't really grapple with the gravity of the bad news. And so I don't think Link was, right? He's not really grappling with the gravity of what it means to live in separation from God forever. Because if his friend is telling him, I'm considering abandoning my faith, well, the gravity of that is the bad news, right? Which the gospel is the answer to. And so if you really, this is why, you need to preach the gospel to yourself every day, but really consider the gravity of the bad news. It's like that illustration that Matt uses when it's you see these people, as believers, what we say we believe is that God has revealed to us that there's two doors, and one is really wide, and then there's a narrow door, right? And you're in line for that narrow door, and it's tough and it's difficult, and you look over, and that big door that lots of people are walking into, you can see just on the other side of it, and it's a pit, and it's fire, and it's terrible. You're just going to be well, I hope they figure out that this one's better because I'm over here. Because I'm over here, so maybe, and we're friends, so maybe because I'm over here, they'll just trust, this one's better. Yeah. It's no, you're going to just not say anything. And for Link, if he really grapples with the gravity of that bad news, you will say something. And I don't know, maybe he did. I'm just going based on what he said here, and it doesn't seem as though he did. But for us, walking away from it, it's it isn't inherently wrong to doubt. The wrong thing is to not deal with it correctly. It's it's not wrong to be angry, but don't sin in your anger. Don't sin in your doubt, right? And if you're doubting, get answers. Don't just go look for the answers that will allow you to do the things that you want to do. Because it's I want to do these things, so I'm doubting my faith because my faith doesn't let me do them or says that I shouldn't. Well, then I must go to the people that are going to give me the answers that will let me do these things. Yeah. And that will mean that my faith is inept.
Lord, I believe. Please help my unbelief.
Yeah, that's true, right? If you believe in the miraculous power of our God, and him being great and mighty and powerful and the author of all things, then you're the problem and you're struggling. Ask him to help you.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that guy that says, Lord, help my unbelief, right? He's I recognize that I was the problem here. I was making a mistake. My faith wasn't strong enough. And I know that you're the answer, right? Going back to that's Thomas, right? He's he goes to God and that helps his unbelief. He goes to Jesus and he feels him and he goes, okay, yeah, there's the evidence. And the evidence was satisfactory.
And it was so satisfactory that he went on and ended up dying for his faith.
Yeah. Well, dying for Christ.
Dying for Christ.
I know that's what dying for his faith means. But
his faith is
I was just
Christ.
thinking about that recently. It's like we say this term.
Yeah.
We die for our faith, and it's like, no, we're dying for Christ.
No, dying for Christ.
You know, but no, I'm not being.
But
we should.
Yeah. Anyway, so exhort one another.
I think Shibs was trying to say something. I'm sorry.
Got it. What?
Oh, I was just going to say for any of our viewers and listeners, this podcast is not really where we dive deep into the evidence, or the flaws in evolution, things like that. But on our Discord, jump in there, ask some questions. I know some sources myself that I could just throw out there right now. If you ever, you would want to start with video one, but go to the Shattered History YouTube channel, start from the beginning, and just watch her videos through. And you'll see a lot of the flaws in what is considered established science.
Yeah, and in the logical, like in the logical means in which they come to their conclusions, right? That's a really important thing, because it's important, like thinking in the right way, trying like how we think, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think it's a great discussion that we can have on Discord if anyone wants to jump in.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and you're right. Like we're not spending a lot of time like just piling through resources and stuff here, which maybe we should have spent a little more time doing something like that. We just kind of talked about the way that it's unfortunate and maybe the way that we should act in these situations. But yeah, like if you are, like we said, if you are doubting and you're having a hard time, you're finding the evidence unsatisfactory, I shouldn't have done air quotes, like the way that Rhett was saying, right? Then there's some evidence, right? And one way that we want to help provide those things, and something that we do with our Discord, is go to our Discord. We have tons of ways for you to get involved, and we want to help you find those answers. There's multiple people there that this is what they do on the regular. They love apologetics, and they love analyzing the evidence. We have occasional apologetic seminars, and we have a channel in there called Christian Apologetics. Go ask some questions there. There's a guy, Stealthy Warlord. He eats this stuff for breakfast. It's what he loves doing. Seriously. Yeah, I don't know if Shibs knows him, and then Shibs too. Like, go ask questions. Go into the Under the Influence. Be like, hey, I watched this episode you guys talked about. You say ask some questions. Ask your questions there if you want.
You'll find me as Faux Shibble.
Faux Shibble. Faux Shibble in the Discord, and he'll help answer your questions. And then Matt will as well. We also have, if you want quick answers to them, we think it's best to talk to one another about these things. But if you want quick answers, you can ask Brother Hank. He's our AI bot. You can go in and at Brother Hank. He'll give you a quick answer that we overwhelmingly we trust what he'll give. But it's best to talk about these things with fellow believers. Yeah. So yeah, discord.gg/Christian Influence. You can get involved there. This is a long one. My plan was for this podcast.
We thought there was going to be a very short one, but we got into a lot of meaty discussions
and weeds. But should we just watch the last 40 seconds?
Yeah.
Is it going to start more conversation? We'll see. We'll give him a shot.
Also,
a lot of that resonated.
Did they have this? Did she have the same?
She was yes, because it was. We believed that it would split us up.
Yeah.
That like the biblical teaching that we adhered to was, okay, you're not going to stay together.
You can't do this without Jesus.
You're not, Jesus is holding you together anyway. So.
Yeah, Jesus is holding us together. But yeah, well, I want to just see that through to the end, but I don't think there's anything more about that we need to say other than what they said.
Yeah, we do have problems with that last bit, but we're gonna end the episode.
Yeah,
here.
I don't particularly have more problems with that than I had with anything else, but
I don't want to say that we didn't have any issues with.
That we're just like, that last 20 seconds was fine. I fully agree. Let's move on.
So thank you all for being here.
Thank you for watching.
We love you very much.
I'm sorry. You want me to say it?
I said that we love you very much thing. I thought, we were just going to...
I thought you were just going to take the whole thing. Roll the outro.